You are now. Hello.
Hello.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. It's a day
It is.
of the week in the now. Dan Murrell is here.
I'm happy to be at the current time and date that it is.
Roxy, Striar.
The day ends with the letter Y.
I mean, Roxy's kind of our human calendar.
Yeah.
Yeah. Roxy, how good of you to come in on what may or may not be your day here.
I've switched it up many times. We don't know.
You don't know what Roxy might do.
You don't know.
Spencer
Take you
Gilbert,
into a pie.
man of mystery.
It's currently Friday.
Yeah. Spencer, I will say that, damn it,
We're doing
that's
so
not
well.
mysterious.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Why'd you do that to us?
Spencer usually is the one that we find the most mysterious in the office and that we're trying to figure out. But I will say one of our editors has usurped you, sir,
Oh, yeah.
as the most mysterious
It's
screen
true.
junkie.
He is a man of
He is a
mystery.
man of mystery for sure. That's interesting to you. So we're going to talk about the fan questions, including canceled movies that we wish had been made. This is from
Chameleon
Bates. Thank you.
Sorry.
No, thank you. I appreciate the
It's
assist.
weird. All lowercase in one word. They're hard to
They
decipher.
are. Yeah. Chameleon Bates says, is there a movie that was announced and then canceled or changed from the original announcement that you wish had in fact been made? Famous canceled movies in development hell include Superman Lives, Ferris Bueller's Day Off 2, Another Day Off.
Sounds terrible.
That sounds awful. Who Discovered Roger Rabbit? Nope. Batman Triumphant, Joel Schumacher wanted to go darker. Gladiator 2, Christ Killer.
Yes. Have you read the synopsis
Sounds
for
like
that?
something that was on Mad TV.
No, it's real and it's
Not even SNL. Mad TV.
absolutely bananas.
Wait, talk me through this. Have you read the script?
I've read a synopsis of it. And it was a
Okay.
while ago, so my memory's a little hazy, but I'm pretty sure it ends with Maximus dying.
Yeah.
And he gets reincarnated as a Roman legion, and it's kind of he keeps having to fight his way through history.
Yeah.
And he keeps dying and being reborn as different
So it's
Groundhog
like
Day?
warriors.
like Forrest Gump of
Yes, it's
of,
like a
like,
Forrest Gump of
Roman-
Maximus through the various fighting the gods and through the afterlife and back on Earth
and eventually dealing with he has to kill Christ.
I think at some point.
Wait, hang on.
Well,
It says
I mean, it is called
it
Christ
says-
Killer. so-
Yes, this was the real script. Maximus returns from purgatory by the
Yeah.
gods to kill Christ, who later is revealed to have been the gladiator's son.
What? That's a lot of revisionism. That's pretty heavy.
Now I do wish that had
Wow.
been made. Yeah, I would like to see whatever that is. I don't
Okay.
think it would be good.
No,
But you want to see it.
it'd be something.
Yeah. All right. Other ones are Godfather Part. No.
4.
Godfather Part No.
Roth doesn't even acknowledge the number that comes before the number you just said.
Exactly.
Exactly. That's true.
ET2, Nocturnal Fears.
Botanicus, famous for where we first meet Botanicus, courtesy of Mike Carlson.
Do you know anything about this one?
ET2 Nocturnal
Yeah,
Fears because
yeah.
of Mike Carlson.
Okay.
Yes, hashtag Botanicus.
Okay.
Was birthed from a description of the ride, E.T. the Ride from Mike Carlson, which itself was birthed from ET2 Nocturnal Fears, which was about the kids going to the E.T.'s planet
The
and
home
E.T.'s
planet,
teacher Botanicus being introduced, and it was a huge got dark and scary, and I would not want to see that movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the only reason I know is because of Mike Carlson and his vast, deep well of ET knowledge.
All right. Well, I want ET to remain how the message in the suite, because the whole message about ET is don't fear the unknown. We make movies about wanting to do battle with aliens when we are fearing the unknown enemy, and that's just generally not good for humanity. So I'd rather leave us with the message that the unknown is not necessarily bad and is often just like you. Roxy Striar, which of these or a different film would you actually like to see?
I think after watching The Death of Superman Lives, what happened, I just reignited my want for that so bad.
Yes.
Yeah, just it was so good. I loved that doc, and I want this. In the most millennial bang my fists on the table kind of way. Why couldn't they give me what I wanted? That's how I feel about that movie.
I love that documentary too.
Yeah.
Our friend who passed away, John Schnapp,
Schnapp,
made
yeah.
that one.
He did such an incredible job with it,
yeah.
and he was so dedicated to getting to the bottom and having all of the best interviews, and if you haven't checked it out, you definitely should. It's unbelievable.
Agreed. How about you? Anything else, Spencer, besides Gladiator?
A more recent one that I was excited about pre-Fox Disney gobble up was Noah Hawley was going to make a Doctor Doom movie.
Yeah.
And he made...
Is that not happening anymore?
Probably
not.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, he was making a
Damn
Fargo and Legion, and he was going to make a Doctor Doom solo movie, and he's like just the best TV showrunner working right now, and
Okay, hang on.
one of.
Sure.
But his take on, and he's proven that he can do superhero genre stuff, but do interesting things with it
Yeah.
in Legion. So for him to do a Doctor Doom movie would have been awesome.
Yeah, I'm pretty high on the Noah Hawley train, but let's not act like Vince Gilligan isn't still working.
What is he working on these days?
So
Okay, he's not running Saul.
No.
But he's not. Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
As weird as it sounds because of what happened with Batman and Robin, only because of what I've read about this. Batman Triumphant was supposed to be, allegedly, about the Scarecrow. The Scarecrow is going to be the villain of Batman Triumphant, which I think sort of carried over when they rebooted and went to Batman Begins. But the story goes that there was a sequence where, of course, Batman gets gassed with Scarecrow gas, and he has to face his deepest fears. And allegedly, rumor has it, they had gotten Nicholson to agree to do the Joker in this vision because going back and facing the Joker was Batman's biggest fear, like having to go and face his greatest enemy. And it may not be true, but the urban legend is that they had pitched it to Nicholson what it was going to be, that he had said that he would do it, and then they completely, canceled that whole Batverse.
Would it have been George Clooney's?
I don't know.
Batman?
That's
Batman
the thing.
would it be?
It may have been terrible, but just
Yeah.
the idea of it, the concept of somehow bringing in, even if only briefly, Nicholson to come back and do that again in the film, I'm not saying it would have been great, but I want to see that.
Yeah.
I want to see that because I love Tim Burton's Batman '89. I do. I love it. Part
love
of it's
it.
because it was the Batman of my youth, and that's where
It's
a
a
little bit
great
Adam West and a
Batman.
lot that Batman. But it's a different Batman
It's
though,
a
and I get
good
why some people
Batman.
are not quite on board with it. But I love it, and I would love to see what they would have done with that. It may have been terrible, but I want to see it, and that's the question.
I like both of the Tim Burton Batman.
Yeah,
I like them both.
they're very quirky,
There. What's not?
and I like them.
What's not to love?
Yeah.
Spencer Gilbert. We have some other questions. Art of Rhino asks if you can vacation in any movie you. Oh shit.
I could do a live performance
Yeah.
every
I
week.
know,
Yeah.
right?
Every time.
On
It
the
always
day
sneaks
that
up
it
on you.
is.
We
It
can't
really
hear
does.
We
those
can't
hear,
things,
yeah.
So
It steps on me, and I step on it, and I want to apologize to you, Graphic, because I love our graphics.
we do.
If you can vacation in any movie universe, what would it be and why? Plus, you guys are amazeballs. You're amazeballs,
you.
Art of Rhino. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any movie universe.
Is it only movies? Can we include TV?
Well, it says movie, so
Well, I'm gonna cheat.
okay, it's your prerogative.
Yeah. Where's your vacation, Roth?
You go first.
Oh. I'll go the Fifth Element, Flossed in Paradise, that cruise ship.
Yeah.
Just listening to weird hip opera.
Yeah.
And hanging out in like weird Euro futuristic balls.
Yeah.
Sounds like a grand old time.
Yeah. Well, like piggybacking off that a little bit, I was basically going to vacation in the TARDIS and go literally everywhere in the span of whatever
Wish for
amount
more
of
wishes.
time I do or do not have and want. Yeah, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm gonna vacation in the TARDIS and go everywhere and see everything.
I don't have one yet. Go to Roxy.
I think about this all the time, which is a weird thing to say, but I'm always like, where do I want to go? And it's so contingent on how long I'm there. Like, am I getting am I taking a sabbatical? How, like, am I gone forever? Is it a 1 week? Because, like,
This should not make you anxious.
it makes me so anxious because, like, you think about it, because some of your favorite things, like, do you, if I'm traveling, if I get to go to Star Wars universe, but I only have a couple days, I can't do all the things I want to do. So I need a longer vacation to go there. Otherwise, if I'm only getting a couple days, I'm going to go to an island. Like, maybe I'd go to the Lost Island because if we're bringing TV in, because then I'd get to, like, go find the smoke monster and, like, 4, 8, 15, 16, 23, 42 and figure out what's going on with the hatch. But, like, I really want to chill on a beach somewhere. That's what I want right now. If I have 2 days.
That's not a hugely restful vacation.
No, but I would be on the
Neither is
beach,
Star
and then I
Wars,
could
I mean.
explore, and I'd be on the beach.
That's true.
It's like Civil War all the time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
that's
was
true.
going to say, I think I would like, because you can travel fairly expeditiously. I love many destinations in the Star Wars universe. A couple days on Naboo, a couple
Right.
days on the Cloud City certainly looks fun. However, it would be with the caveat that it occur between the end of Return of the Jedi and the beginning of The Force Awakens, when apparently there was a nice little brief
Little
period
lull.
of peace. So yeah, if I could get if you were going to guarantee me somewhere in that space, then I would very much enjoy a few Star Wars destinations, because they really have something for everybody.
But you need a
Sure.
long time.
You
That's
need
not
a
a
what?
weekend
It's a couple
vacation.
weeks.
Well,
A couple weeks to zoom around the galaxy.
It's a galaxy.
How much time are you giving me off, Roth?
I mean, if you really want to travel an entire galaxy without a TARDIS, then you're going to need a lifetime.
So what about you and I
Star
just
Wars.
need a
They
time?
zip between light
ship
speed.
with light speed.
Yeah, but you can't save time by going all through time and
That's true.
Yeah, science fiction.
And
Fiction
now-
we're talking.
Who's stressed out now? I stressed you all out.
Yeah,
Welcome to the
time
club.
travel is especially if it's briefly, because you know how time travel is addictive. And you say you're going to do it for 2 weeks, and you end up doing it for 3 years, and you come back and you're 3 years older, and you've gone through 3 years that no one else has, and you don't remember what you ate yesterday, and you can't catch up. Time travel is fraught with perils that I don't want to deal with.
I'll take those perils on. I will take them on. I'm happy I don't remember what I ate yesterday anyway. We've met. Who's this guy? Who knows?
I've
thought you
often
were
thought
gonna-
about, like, if I got, like, somehow Edge of Tomorrow, like, mentally back
Yeah.
5 years, and, like, if I had to go to the job that I had 5 years
Oh,
ago,
God.
and, like, but even just, like, do the basic tasks. Like, I used to work in a film vault. I used to have to clean reels of film every day. When I worked there, I knew how to do it. It was, like, second nature. I don't remember how to do that. Like, the idea of, like, having to go back and, like, just be expected to remember and do things.
I was thinking
It's
about
so
this
stressful.
the other day, too.
Yeah.
You guys are talking my language. I was like, okay, how would I change the tap of a keg? I did this 5,000 times. Like, how am I going to do that? And I was like, wow, I think if I would had to go back to the bar, I'd have to be like, can somebody teach me how to pour beer again? I can't figure it
Yeah.
out. Like, I can't do it.
If I had to go back 5 years from now, I would know how to do what I was doing then. Because it's
Yeah.
so similar to what I'm doing now.
Well, I was going to say, it actually goes to show you how little grasp of time I have, because if I were to go back 5 years, I would still
be
be
starting
working.
out here.
I'd be
Yeah.
working here.
Yeah.
Let's say 8 years. So I was to go back 8 years,
Yeah.
then I would, yeah.
That's where it might get a little hard,
Yeah,
actually.
that's tough.
Also, I don't want to.
Yeah, 8 years.
And I don't want to go back to that job either.
Right? Yeah, I know. I was just thinking, like, I don't want that. I don't. Let's just
Please don't
let's go
make
forward,
us. Please.
And I'd like to vacation in Harry Potter and poop my pants.
and then just disapparate it.
Now, is it that you poop your pants or
No.
that you just poop
Just
anywhere?
poop your pants.
Just poop anywhere.
and then disapparate
So
it.
you're gonna
But
be
I'm not
an elf?
magic. It's a wizard's job to
Oh, I see.
Oh,
Like
I
a
didn't
movie
say
theater
I would be
patron.
magic.
Not-
yeah,
you're not
like a bad movie
Yeah.
theater
You're
patron.
an elf. You're pooping your pants, and the wizards are coming. And
Yeah.
beep,
well,
boop, beep, boop.
in my
Puparo.
TARDIS, I would include the Harry Potter universe and where I would visit for sure. I'm going to Hogwarts.
Just from the toilet.
Thesis Illimitus.
Yeah.
Wingardia Levificis.
Were you just gonna float the poop?
Yeah.
It's a great prank back then. They don't talk about that, but yeah.
I don't talk about that nearly enough.
No.
Kevin wants to know, what was the first movie you were allowed to go to the theater to see without parents and adults? My mom dropped my brother and me off to see Rookie of the Year.
Nice.
And we felt so cool. I don't remember at all. I really don't.
I don't know.
I remember my first flexing of, like, teenage independence was to go see Beavis and Butthead Do America.
Nice.
Because I could not watch Beavis and Butthead, but it was a PG-13 movie, and I had a deal that when I turned 13, I could go see any PG-13 movie that I wanted. So despite not even being a massive Beavis and Butthead fan, I went to that one unsupervised because
fine choice.
because I could.
Yeah.
As far as without parental supervision, that's tough. I don't remember. I don't remember the first one. Like, yeah, I don't know.
I don't remember. Truly, I don't. Do you guys remember?
I don't even know what
Vaguely.
age I would have, what time period. Like, I can't think of. It's hard for me to even remember going to the movies growing up.
Maybe Major Payne. I think I
Nice.
might have seen that alone in the theater, or like with some friends. Dumb and Dumber, I definitely saw with friends and no parents in a theater because my mom had a. When she finally saw it, she was like, "I cannot believe I let you see that." It's like, yeah, Can't do anything about it now, Mom.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Take it back from my memory,
remember-
Mom.
She took it back though. She was gonna get it for me for Christmas on VHS, and she watched it and she took it back. She returned the tape and got
I
me
already
something
saw
else. She was
it.
like, "I'm not buying you that."
Yeah, you can't trip step, double step. I remember an early birthday party of a friend, like a flock of boys went in to see That Thing You Do.
Oh,
Yeah,
it was great.
That's cute.
Such a good movie.
We all dug it.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, oh, our first adult movie, because it
Yeah.
was very wholesome. But
We snuck into, I mean, the rules were in New York back in the day. There were like no rules. Really, there were like, they were vague, age limits were vague recommendations for anything, like a bar and cigarettes, anything really. Like, so for movies, we snuck into horror movies really young. So I don't remember the first one that I did that with. I just remember doing that a lot.
Were you good with them or no? With
Yeah,
the
I
horror
loved
movie?
them.
You were okay.
Yeah, I was huge. Me and my best friend Lisa were hugely into horror movies, all of them. But yeah. Anyway, breaking the law. So, Cat Dog wants to know: are there any movies that you've watched and loved yet will never watch again? So many, starting with Requiem for a Dream.
Yep.
I do not need
I've
to
seen
see
those
that
several
again.
times actually. The craft of it, in a weird way, not that emotionally it's devastating every time, but my God, the artisanship behind it. I've returned to it for that reason.
Yeah. That's you.
I'm trying to think if there's one. United 93 was one that I saw that I remember really liking, but I was like, I have no desire to ever watch this movie again.
Irreversible is a movie I've talked about a few times. I don't know if you guys have ever seen it. It's a French film it's really brilliantly made. It's told reversed in time, and it starts with this event and then it traces backwards basically how the events happened. And it is the camera's basically, I think it's on wires, and so for the first, I think 2/3 of the film, the camera's just moving like this, and it's very, very disconcerting, and gets you into like sort of a frenzied state. It's a very violent movie. It opens with a very violent act, and it traces back like why this happened, and then the camera stops. And it basically goes onto sticks, one wide shot in a tunnel for a 10-minute rape sequence. That
good
is
Lord.
so brutal. And I have never, except for this time in a film, almost fainted. Like I started shaking and sweating, and I started sort of doing this. And it's because the camera's been moving so kinetically and then it stops, it really makes you feel like you're trapped in this tunnel and can't get out and can't get away from the scene and can't get away from the brutality of it. So I never, ever need to see it again.
That's not my. I don't. That's what I've heard about.
Yeah.
I've never seen it. Like I get it.
It's a really well-made film.
I get why people like those
Yeah.
things, but like Lars von Trier movies too. That's just not my.
Oh yeah,
I'm
mine's,
not
Lars
going to
von
say they're
Trier.
bad films because it's just not. It's not my bag.
Yeah.
It's really not my vibe.
No, I mean, we were basically, my friend and I, her boyfriend said to her specifically, there's this movie, Irreversible, I don't want you to ever see it. So obviously we saw it that night.
Yeah.
Well, mine is not as disturbing, but it is a Lars von Trier film, Melancholia. Kirsten Dunst, and like just the impending end of the world, very slow burn, and it's a beautiful, beautiful movie. Kind of it's basically about depression, and it's depressing, and it's great, and I never want to see it again.
Yeah. Same.
Yeah.
Saw it. Good.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Fine. I will also say I brought up a couple weeks ago. Funny Games is unintentionally bad or rule-breaking horror movie to kind of play with the audience and their expectations. And I know like subvert your expectations gets thrown around a lot as like a
Thing.
pretentious thing.
Yeah.
And yes, it is pretentious, but man, it does a really good job of it.
But never need to see it again.
Never need to see it again.
Rox, how about you?
I think one of the best movies of all time. I actually saw it twice because I had to recently rewatch it for a project, but it would be okay if I never saw it again because it makes me feel so violently ill every time, is Schindler's List. I love that movie so much, but I don't think I could watch it again. It's so hard to watch. But it is, I think, maybe top 20 movies of all time. So it's an amazing one, but once you see it, you're like, oof.
Yeah.
Fair.
Ray Fiennes in that movie.
Oh,
Just, oh,
yeah.
ugh.
Now that we're all depressed.
Yeah. Possum wants to know what movie, non-documentary, made you want to do more research and learning on a subject? Literally every movie that is supposedly based on any real life event, I immediately Google afterwards and try to do as much cross comparison as I can. One of the ones that pops to mind is Behind the Candelabra, because they really sugarcoated, and it didn't look good in the movie. But they had hired Matt Damon, who is probably, what is he, in his late 40s? You know,
By that time,
yeah,
probably mid 40s.
Mid 40s. Well, the real kid that was 17 years old. And there's a shocking, striking difference when you have Matt Damon, even if he's playing younger, than if you had someone that really looked like Timothée Chalamet, who looked like he's 17 years old. I think the upsetting nature of that dynamic is thrown into very sharp relief with someone that actually looks the age versus someone that looks like an adult man.
Rob Lowe in that movie, by the way.
Oh
my
my
favorite Rob Lowe
God.
performance. That and Chris Traeger.
Yeah.
And Sam Seaborn. Okay, he's done a lot of good roles, but just Google Rob Lowe Behind the Candelabra. It'll make your day.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm like you. I Google anything based on a true story afterwards. Most recently, Green Book. It's like, there's two sides to this story. Gosh, like anything historical, you gotta run back and see what they left out, what they put in. Braveheart was one of them. Did this really happen? Oh, not exactly. But I think I do it to every movie, like you said, based on a true story.
I read Into the Wild, I think after I saw Into the Wild, and I found the movie to be a very romanticized version of what actually happened. JFK, I think it's definitely one that will just, it sent me into, every time I watch JFK, I find myself like for the next week, like just doing deep dives into like, because again, that is a very specific telling of that from Oliver Stone's perspective as a filmmaker that I think presents things a certain way, some of them in a very truthful way, some of them in a very kind of slanted way, and I think that the movie itself is a very compelling case, and then I love then going down deeper and finding, and usually you hit a dead end, as everyone who's tried to research that has hit a dead end, and I think it's just as fascinating to consider that with the Sherlock Holmes thing, like maybe the simplest explanation is that all of these weird things and coincidences and strange, seemingly impossible things, like maybe the simplest explanation is just that somehow everything just happened the way that it did. But I think the JFK is a very, I think it won Best Editing that year for the Oscars, and it should have, because it is a very compellingly made film, and certainly always encourages me when I rewatch it to go back and revisit the events and perspectives and like, oh, what about the guy that ran into Lee Harvey Oswald and the thing with, it's a very, very compelling movie.
Roxy, how about you?
I'm kind of like you, Roth. Every single one. I'm like a crazy person about afterwards, like what was actually real, even with something like The Favorite, where it's not the story, but even if somebody was a character who ever lived. I did it a lot with I, Tonya. I actually got to even interview Nancy Kerrigan, and just like watching interviews and seeing what the deal with that was. Straight out of Compton, I remember after that doing tons of different, even Bo Rap this year, like people were upset about Bohemian Rhapsody, so looking in.
Bo Rap.
I didn't know we had I didn't know that was a thing.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
You two are close.
Yeah, very.
I was
Remember,
like,
I went for Screen Junkies to the junket, so we are very close.
Got it.
I
put
mean,
you on a private plane.
that's what
to
everybody
Vegas.
there called it the whole time. So
Bo
They
Rap.
called it Bo Rap.
Do you
Hope
talk
you enjoy
to
Bo Rap.
Do you talk to Ramek? I guess it's almost
Is
Ramek.
that
Yeah,
Ramek?
that's basically it.
It just
yeah.
sounds like you're saying his name
Ramek,
wrong.
yeah. Never mind.
That was obnoxious that I just said that. I forgot that Bohemian Rhapsody, anything that's a biopic or anything. I'm Googling like crazy and looking for interviews.
Yeah.
And it's fascinating. And I don't really have a problem with them taking creative liberties as long as it's very clear that that's what they're doing, like with Greatest Showman, which I loved. I know it's some people love it, some people don't. That to me is not like a biopic, but I was doing tons of research afterwards anyway. Like, Who is this fella?
Oh,
Probably killed 6 whales.
He's a delight.
Yeah, who is he? So all of them.
That P.T.
I do all the
Barnum.
Googling.
P.T. Barnum would have loved the movie.
He
Oh, yeah.
absolutely.
Oh,
It's-
he would have very much.
Loved
it's
it.
in a very meta way exactly
Perfect.
what P.T. Barnum would do. And in a very meta way, it's actually perfect.
Yeah.
This is who I am. Aren't I fantastic?
Down to the critics not liking it and the
Yeah.
audience
Yeah,
loving it.
it. Down to
that-
it being
yeah.
Hugh Jackman,
Yeah.
who's playing
Yeah,
him.
he would have loved that movie.
Yeah.
I, the sniveling critic, am wrong, sir.
Yeah.
that was a great scene.
Oh, may I bow down to you and beg your forgiveness?
I could never admit it publicly, but what you're doing here is
It's
brilliant.
brilliant. It cannot be denied.
I'm with you.
I like the music.
The music has grown on me. I feel like when we did people, a lot of times Roth and I have to do reviews like right after we see movies, and
get
we don't
so
even
mad.
like to
Get
let.
mad.
We don't even
Didn't
like.
even sink in
Sometimes
yet.
things can't even sink in, and I will
Yeah.
have to say one of my criticisms. Most of my criticisms about the movie, I will keep. But one thing is that on second and then many more re-listens, the music has definitely grown on me, and
music
I feel
has
like
grown on me too,
at
damn
first
it.
blush, it did not really make much of an impression, and we've said so in our review, but. Keep in mind, like, we don't have the benefit of, like, the soundtrack being out for 2 weeks a lot of times before we do the review. Like, we have to go off of, like, just instant impressions, which sucks, but that's also sometimes the reality of
Yeah.
the job. So I will say I will have softened on The Greatest Showman in the sense that the music has over time,
I
grown
agree.
on me.
Well, but it's only a couple of the songs, but those songs have grown on me quite a little
Really,
bit.
very much, yeah. So,
And it's largely because of exposure therapy.
That'll
Yeah.
do
I
it.
think
You're
I've-
welcome.
I've come to embrace what's going to be in my reality,
Yeah.
as one should do. You should just embrace your reality.
gotta do it.
Accept
If
it.
this is a part of your reality, learn to love it.
Amen. Happy Friday.
Well, I don't think
Happy
it's Friday.
Happy
day.
With the Y at the end.
Yeah.
Y
Happy
at the
someday
end.
to you.
Any more questions? Are we good?
I think we're good.
Okay. That's
Yeah,
goodbye.
that's it. That's a show. Thank you.